Okay. So this is a wonky start. And we'll do a round of check-ins, but before we do a round of check-ins, it's sometimes just good to check in with ourselves.
I just want to check. Can people on Zoom hear Hannah okay? Okay, good.
Thanks for checking.
Yeah.
Okay. So Hurricane Ida just went through the city. And every one of us were affected by it, some very little and some a lot. But I mean, it's still true that we are soft bodies in a new city, many of us, and that here we are, experiencing global warming and change in a way that can really affect us. And here you are starting something new. So there's a lot going on. So we want to start by checking in with ourselves, and then we'll check in with the group at large. And so you can close your eyes, go off camera. We're just going to take 2 minutes to just kind of feel this. If you were a dog and there was lightning, that's shaking, you would put them on your lap and kind of just give them a little brush. So it's kind of giving yourself just a little bit of time to say, "Whoa, how am I feeling in this moment?" And you're welcome to actually hold yourself like I'm holding, and just to feel. The first thing I invite you to do is to look at your space, and just to take a breath in and actually move your head like slightly and slowly. This is good to tell our nervous system that to look around our space and realize that where we are in space, maybe even tell yourself, okay, maybe am I safe in this space in this moment, and then look and see if you can find 3 yellow objects. Hard in this day. And then, thanks for your shirt, yes. And then 3 red objects, just notice them with your eyes. And then 3 blue objects. And then, good, this is just what we did now is called orienting. And it's a useful practice to sometimes just orient yourself to your space, especially when you're feeling a little shaky. Check out that your space feels, air quote, safe. And the next thing, I invite you to go into your body, and it doesn't in any way feel too much for you, like it feels overstimulating or it doesn't feel good in any way, then just come back and look at your space. You're always being in choice really matters. So in this moment, I invite you to feel your feet. I need to uncross my legs. And for us, we're feeling the concrete, the carpet and the concrete. I'm not sure what you feel under your feet, zooming in. And then bring your attention to your feet in your shoes or socks, whatever you're wearing, and just feel that. And then feel your calves. We're doing a body scan, checking in your calves, your knees, your thighs, beautiful thighs, your butt, which may be seated on a chair. Just feel the seam between your buttocks and the chair you're sitting on. And then feel the length of your spine, all the way from your sit bones right to the crown of your head. Just feel your spine. Then bring attention to your belly. I invite you to take a deep breath into your belly. And another one. And the last one. And then bring attention to your chest area. See what it's like in your heart. And then bring attention to your neck and shoulders area. and attention to your jaw and your tongue and your eyeballs, and then to the crown of your head. Okay. So that's just a way of getting into our bodies and checking how we're doing. And I'm going to offer a slide, which I'm not sure how we're going to do with between all of us between being in person and being here is a slide. If I share my screen with you, it looks like it comes from the world of trauma, and it talks about how we have our nervous systems are in very different states. So if you and I are walking through, if I'm walking through a park and it's the birds and bird song, my nervous system will feel safe in the green zone. And then a dog comes to attack me and I get anxious and I get ready to fight or flight. And then that's the orange zone. And then the dog comes and it like, you know, it's maybe not the best example, but at some point the danger feels so much that we just shut down, right? We actually get immobilized, we freeze. And so all of these are really useful in our nervous system to go through these areas. And this is just a check-in to ask you, where are you in this moment? And you can drag a dot. You can see here is a dot. They're not perfect, but if I will drag my dot, I'll probably I feel like I'm right there at the moment. I can go either way. So I invite you, this is all, what do you call it, anonymous, to drag a dot. And for those of you sitting, you're welcome to use our computers, and let's get a sense of what us as a group, where is our group nervous system in this moment? And so both of these computers are available if you just want to come drag a dot. And so we can have you on part of Zoom, yeah?
Did you get it on my?
Yes, it is on your machine. So Effie, you can use Mark's machine. If you're okay with
So they can't, if it's you sharing their screen, they need the URL in class if they're going to drag it off.
It's asking for, we need to request access to get this file.
you have access?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it says you need access to be able to make any changes here.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem.
You may need,
There we go.
could you do it?
I think it would come to whoever's email is like the owner of this document.
So
So
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that, people.
Oh, that's the wrong.
Hey, thanks for your patience.
Okay. Drag away.
Is it
Yep, we're able to do
Alright.
that now. Thank you.
Good. Oh, I keep trying to drag the Zoom image instead of the actual.
Nice and careful, drag.
Oh, it's still on view only for me, so I still don't have editing access.
Say that again?
It says I'm still on view only, so I don't have editing access.
I'm gonna put it in the chat again. Maybe that helps, I don't know. So that you refresh your browser, that's really what I'm after.
Yeah, it worked for me after I refreshed.
Thank you.
Yep, it's working now. Thank you.
Great. All right. Okay. Is it okay if I stand here? So this is a tool I use often when I work with groups. I just have us do this either on the wall or on a place like this, because we don't know what people bring into the room, and what people bring into the room really affects what happens in the room. And so especially if we're working on difficult subjects or in difficult times, which are just going to increase, you know, it's good for us to know where we are as individuals and also as a group. So our nervous system, our collective nervous system feels relatively safe, but also a little bit mobilized or activated. And so it's good to notice, and it's good to have compassion for ourselves and for each other, knowing that we are living in a pandemic and we're living, some say, in an apocalypse. You know, we're not living in the easiest times. And to have self-compassion for whatever we bring into the room, and then also have ways to care for ourselves. So in this moment, I just offer a simple practice that I invite you to do, which is, it's called the butterfly hug. And it's because when we feel stressed, a lot of our attention is in our brain. And when we come back into our physical sensation or into our physical space, sometimes it can help us lower our sense of activation or mobilization. So we're gonna, in this class, we're gonna practice many things, and then you see if the practice works for you or not, and you keep what you want to keep or not. But this is taking your two hands like this, and then bringing them together, but they're gonna pass each other like ships, and your thumbs are gonna lock. So your thumbs get together, and then you place them on your hand, on your heart area, like I'm doing. Yeah, that looks very good. And then you just tap very gently. And maybe you need, and just feel what feels good for you. For me, a gentle tap feels good in this moment. But sometimes I also need to kind of go hard, especially if I feel numb. I sometimes kind of need to like get in there. So whatever tap feels good for you, just to tap and breathe deeply. Breathe as if you're pulling breath into your big toe, your left big toe and right big toe. So take a few breaths like this. And then I invite you to just give yourself a hug. And just notice if anything shifted for you. And whatever you notice is helpful. It doesn't mean it needs to work for you, but it's just a way of checking, starting to build your toolkit of things that help you move down or move up as needed. So thank you for engaging. And does anyone want to respond to this exercise before we do a check-in? Okay. You can still, there's still time to respond, but what we'd like to do is just like if we were together now, we would stand in a circle like we did yesterday morning. And our question today is, how are you? And how did the storm affect you? So, and I'm gonna have us do kind of imagine that I have like a really big tomato in my hand, and then I'm gonna carefully throw it. It's a green one, so it's not gonna burst. And Diva, I'm gonna throw it to you. Is that okay? Can you catch it? And then is it okay for you to check in? How are you? How did the storm affect you? And then pass to someone else when you're done. Thank you. You're muted at the moment.
Yes, I think I'm feeling slightly better. Yesterday was a very long and a very tiring day. I flew back from Austin and I was initially supposed to fly to Newark, but it was so bad. The turbulence was really bad and the flight we landed in JFK and my bags were in Newark and we were just trying to figure a way to get to some place. And then I couldn't move to my place because the painting, it was freshly painted and it was just fuming, right? Like the paint fumes are still very strong. So I am currently at a friend's place. I feel like it's better now. I mean, I'm slightly calmer. I feel like I have a little more stability. And I'm glad to like start this journey with all of you guys over here. So that's about it. I think I'm gonna pass it to Riddhi. Yeah.
Hi, thank you.
You're okay? Just come closer. Maybe we're gonna come closer while you do your Zoom check-ins.
Christian did respond to them and they're able to.
Oh, really? Okay. Really? Well, hang on 1 second because the laptop speakers aren't so great. So,
Is it
Grayson might
involved
have an.
system preferences?
So he said that if you go onto the screen on the podium, and if you select the source for it to be AirPlay here, the
Sources to be AirPlay, okay.
now it should show the code on the screen, he said.
That's awesome. The way it's not doing that. Oh, look at that. MFA DSI Theater. Look how, but maybe it's monitor. What is this? Is it monitor?
I think it would be under.
Here it is. Yeah. And enter the code, which is
8694.
so intuitive. Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Hopefully the sound is coming through.
Oh, now some Zoom person say something.
Really was checking.
Really say good
Hello.
morning.
Hi, good morning. Is that good?
You did fine, but on our end, it was no different. So,
Should I speak louder? Will that help?
If you click on the sound icon right there,
no.
and now it says it should be.
Audio mode?
Well, no. Oh, goodness, no. Because it's not going through here. This doesn't affect the. And I don't know what.
Yeah, what if you just pull the volume slider like up? I don't know what that.
Yeah,
what we did there.
except for the way that it's
not
coming out of these speakers.
Yeah.
Maybe if we have to select within Zoom, I think you can choose your audio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you go down to the microphone and hit the arrow. And then hit.
Oh, so here, that's so brilliant. I think that has solved the problem. I'm gonna, okay, Reedy, give us a.
Hello? Yes.
Hello? Oh.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thanks, Diva. I'm glad you're like feeling better today. And I hope everyone is safe and nice. So yesterday, just before I reached home, like while I was walking, the rain got bad right after I reached. So it was Like I just missed the thing, so which I was really happy about, and I'm glad I didn't step out after that. So yeah, actually there was not a lot of I think damage here because I didn't step out probably, so I didn't notice it. But yeah, I'm feeling a little better today because like here it's super sunny. So yeah, I'm feeling good about that. And I would like to pass it to Pallavi.
I got it. Thank you. Um, I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit frustrated that I couldn't make my way over and it's looking like harder, like it's not changing and I can't. And that's on my mind a little bit. Yesterday I was just stuck on the expressway for a really long time because it flooded and the cars were all backed up. So I feel also like a little bit, when you haven't slept well because you slept, I got to bed really late because of that. So those are the things on my mind right now. And I'm going to pass the tomato to Kritika.
Everyone, good morning. I'm also a little unsettled this morning just because I was kind of looking forward to coming in and being with everyone. But I hope things get better soon. A couple of us had quite the adventure last night when we were trying to make it to the comedy night, which is at 8 p.m. And I think just an hour before that, it was pouring like crazy, and it was quite a trek back home, I would say. I was carrying like my cloth tote bag and I had my iPad in it, and I was like, this is not a very smart move for me. Somehow we got some plastic bags and I covered everything and I somehow got home. Yeah. Brittany.
Catching the tomato. I didn't really get affected a whole lot last night by the storm. Once I got home from DSI, I just sort of stayed inside, but I saw that it was raining really hard, and seeing, the videos online of the subways flooding was a little scary. And waking up this morning, even though the sky where I am looked beautiful, I was still frustrated that I wasn't able to make it in this morning, but I'm glad that we're still able to be here in a sort of hybrid space. And I hope that everyone's able to make it later. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna toss the tomato to Eklin. Is that how you say it?
Hi. Yes, I'm this day I feel so fresh because the temperature has dropped a lot and I like the cool climate. So this day I feel that I can calm down and think about the experience of these 2 days. Although the rainy days affects our class, our meeting, but we also found the solution, and now it's a sunny days and we will meet as soon as possible. And thank you. I'm for Xiaomi, Effie.
Okay. I know the storm bring a lot of like inconvenience to all of us, and I feel so sorry about that. But I feel like a little bit guilty, but actually the storm like bring me back to my hometown because this is a very common weather in my hometown. So last night I lived far up. And I will pass it to Prison.
Yeah, I feel thankful that the storm did not impact me too significantly. My apartment didn't flood or anything, so very thankful for that. I am, however, very tired of living through like historical weather events. Feels like those happen very often. For instance, last night Central Park got the most rain it's ever had in an hour, breaking a record that was set the last time it rained about a week ago. So yeah, just not looking forward to that continuing to happen in the future. But overall, I'm okay today. And I will pass it to Huayon.
Oh yeah, this is my first time I've ever experienced storm and the aftermath from the storm. And it is more than I expected. I had to get out of the train from the Penn station because there was like no train to go further than Penn station. So I walked to here and I was the only one who was in the space. So I'm glad that I was not the only one who attended in person. And I hope everyone stays safe. Yeah, and I talked to Jesse.
One second. Can we do anything about that? I am also very grateful that the storm has passed and grateful that I wasn't affected too badly. Although it definitely is like a sobering thought as racing the same to see these continued historical climate change effects in real time. But I'm very grateful that it's a beautiful sunny day and also for the cooler temperature.
Thank you.
And should I pass the tomato back to you?
I'll take the tomato. How can I be presentable? Yeah, I think I'm someone that can worry by nature. And so last night I was in a call with people from all over the US, and a lot of people were commenting on the weather patterns where they're from, the fires or the rain. And so last night I didn't sleep that well, just thinking about what we have inherited as a generation and how big it feels and how much change we can make, and just sitting with that, and the conversation that I was in last night was about the apocalypse. How do we recreate worlds? So it makes me aware of how big the things are, and also makes me really grateful that there are many people all over the world working on them, including all of us. And here's the tomato.
Oh. I also felt a little guilty this morning because Hannah had a meeting, so I walked to get us both noodles, and so I got wet. It was just a rainstorm, and then I woke up this morning and saw the videos of the subway flooding and read about all the tragedy. It was a surprise to me. So personally, not so affected. Also love the cooler weather. And then this sense of, holy cow, we're so used to, the world we're used to is changing. This awareness of change. And I think there's no place else to put the ball or the tomato.
So we should just eat it.
Okay, everybody gets a piece of tomato. Yeah. Thank you, Hannah. Anything else that you would? Okay. Well, we thought we'd use some time to, well, we would like to introduce ourselves. You had your presentations to each other. We thought we would do that too, to say something about ourselves. And then we would talk about the class, introduce the class, the topics, some of the details of what to expect, and then any questions about that. Yeah? All good. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to try to, why don't we do that, and then go over here. Oh, that's not right. Where is this? Why am I blind to the screen share? Oh, there it is, the giant green thing.
I'm grateful for all the help.
Yeah. In Zoom land, can you see the screens, the slides? Right, did they say yes? Yeah. Okay. Hi, happy to meet you. Now that we've spent 3 days together. We do use our SVA email. I have it forwarded, so I pretty much see it, but this is my normal email address and Twitter handle. If any of you are on Twitter, you're welcome to send something. Always happy to get it. And I started a while ago doing this kind of timeline of life. So just by way of biography, I was born in Montana. It's that's where it is in the US. It's a state about the same land area as Germany. It's pretty big with only 1 million people. So that's what it looks like there when I was a baby. And this is just the front yard of my house where I grew up. It has you can see to the Earth's curve. And in the other direction are the Rocky Mountains sticking up. They're 100 miles away. And then there's small mountains and the Missouri River. And I show these pictures because, also it gets very cold there. When Hannah first visited, it was 30 degrees below zero. And so we go out in the field to feel our cheeks burning. So I show this because growing up in a place with wide horizons and working on a farm shapes me in ways that are hard for me to understand or communicate. But I do carry a sense of spaciousness and trust in the long rhythm of days, the long cycles. And not everybody from Montana feels that way, but I sure love that place. And then I studied anthropology and linguistics, and I had a first career in computing. So for about 15 years, I did stuff like this. That's not me, but those are the machines that I worked on way back, punch cards, green screen terminals. And this is stuff I was kind of the second wave of artificial intelligence. We're about on the 5th wave now. And I was a geek, still am, sort of. But I met designers and realized that I cared more about people than the machines, and started steering my career in that direction. And so and still kind of have one foot in the world of design and design research. So I think that I'm the first person to have the title Chief Experience Officer, and working on interfaces and interaction design and design for the context of a hospital and brain surgeons is one example. And just really a lot of ethnographic research. So in a lot of different countries and contexts and streets and homes and offices and neighborhoods and factories and things. So the field work and synthesis of field work is something I love. So it's something you could talk to me about if that comes up. But just before 2010, the late aughts, I realized I'd felt uncomfortable, a little dissatisfied all along, because however great the projects were and the people, in the end, they really were all about more revenue. And they may say that they were about being good for people, but I don't think they really were, any of them. And I was asking, well, how can my work contribute to the shifts in society that we clearly need? And I realized pretty quickly that my past experience was inadequate, that the tools in my hands of design and problem solving for product and business was not enough by itself. So started learning, and around that time is when Hannah and I met. So that's biography up till now. Teaching client work through Fit Associates, which is now 15 years old. And we're doing some retreats. You'll hear some stories from us along the way. I don't know why I'm showing you quirks. I have this weird kind of fascination with numbers. So if any of you like numbers, I can talk to you about that. The gaming is an interest. So I first touched computer games back when the display was an oscilloscope. And I still play. This is my Steam profile. So, and I like cooking. And I consider mixing cocktails cooking. So some things I like. Hannah and I work together. We are colleagues and collaborators through this little company, Fit Associates, which started out as strategic design, but is now emphasizing social design. And we've worked with a lot of different clients. Again, I show you this just because it gives you a feel for we're available to you. You know, I mean, this background and experience is available to you through the 2 years, should any of it be relevant. So I think I have formed over the last few years I used to have a sense that you choose a path, and which path do you go? Is it technology or design, or what do you want to be a teacher? What do you want to do? And then you follow that path and you get better and better at it. I now have more of a becoming view that we are all process, which will be one of the themes of this class. The snapshot I see of you today is not really you. You are in this moment becoming the next version of yourself, right? And we are together doing that. I was a farm kid. I became a student of a lot of different things. And then I became a software systems guy. How did that happen? It's like hard to explain. I became a practitioner and teacher of design. I became a consultant. I mean, all these were things where, like, you ask me, oh, who are you? What do you do? I would identify as these things. These would be part of my answer. But now I like being identified by the questions I'm trying to live into, rather than my history or biography or what I do for a living. So this is one way to talk about who I think I might be. I'm someone who's trying to live into the question of how did that happen? How do we move ourselves together towards a sustainable and equitable patterns of life? The end. Would you like to go, Hannah?
Sure.
Yeah. Unless somebody has a question. Are there questions?
Thanks for that, Mark. So recently I've dropped the H on the end of my name, which I will tell you about. So all of that is true, except that there's no H at the end, which I'll tell you why in a second. So I love that you say that we're a process, Mark. And if I'm a process, I'm like, so where do I start? So I'm starting with my ancestors that lived in France in 1950s, 1500s. And my grandpapa was sitting down to eat his croissant, and then there was a knock on the door, and they said that my great grandfathers were Protestants, which is a type of Christianity. There's a knock on the door saying, "Hey, you got to get out. The Catholics are killing the Protestants," which is a long history. So it's the same religion, Christianity, believing in the same God, and now, but they believe different doctrines, and the Catholics are killing the Protestants, and so you need to flee. So they were exiled. Here's a picture of, you know, the Middle Ages are very full of gruesomeness, but so they chose to get onto a ship and go to the southern tip of Africa, where when they landed on the southern tip of Africa, they became part of the colonizers, which is not a slide, but which should be a slide. So my very beginning, if I take that as my beginning, is one religion taking power over another religion. And then my great-great-grandmama, they're now white people who have colonized the southern tip of Africa. Her name was Johanna Hendrika du Plessis. And while she was, while they lived, the English colonized South Africa. So the British colonized South Africa. And these are the concentration camps. And so here is one nationality, British, taking power over nationalities, Afrikaans people. And then in 50 years ago, when the British stopped being colonizers in my country, the white people, my white people, were given power to rule. And instead of saying, we've been through a lot of stuff, you know, we have been, we want to create a wholesome world where everyone belongs, they said, oh, we as white people are going to maintain power. And they created a system called apartheid, where white people were segregated from black people, but white people were given power and black people were kept disempowered. Even now, when you walk the city streets of New York, watch out how many people are homeless and from which race. The patterns of racial inequality in any colonial country is still replicating this history of colonization. And so I was born into this area, at this time in history. And I was born into a family that was not politically active. We didn't talk about things that matter. We just kind of kept it nice at my home. So when I was 18, apartheid officially ended. And I was like, oh my goodness, you know, I've been given this reality where there's a lot of oppression based on race, but also based on gender, ability, and many more, sexual orientation, in a segregated society. Like, what do I do? And I'm a maker, I'm a creative person. So I was like, okay, I can. So the first thing I did was just to really become engaged with my community through the church and school that I was with. And I did a lot of projects, you know, and some protests with Black girls in the street, like trying to change, and burning out really, really early. Like I was 18 where I realized, you know, that I'm trying to make change for people, on behalf of people, but not necessarily including them. I have an agenda of change that I'm trying to force on people. This is a curve from Peter Senge that says, you know, you have aspirations that things will change, and maybe there's a small change, but the status quo will mostly always return. And so I realized, you know, I don't know what's best for other people. And thinking that I do know what's best for other people and trying to convince them is not how I want to spend my life. So I became a designer. And I really like design. I really love making things. And I did a lot of projects, which I won't show you pictures of, but I had a great time. And in my project, I would always bring in people from the informal economy to do work in the project so that there would be some economic rebalancing. But as soon as the project was over, the socio-economic system would go back to what it was. So this is just saying, this is a kitchen. I love seeing what it is, imagining what it can be, and then making it real. And so again, I was like, okay, I'm giving people work, but then the system goes back. So I don't know how to create transformative interactions that actually shift the system. And that's when I moved from South Africa to the US. And I thought that if I have more authority, I would be able to make more change. So I moved from being a designer to design strategist. And again, I realized that even if I'm in the boardroom, I am not really affecting the organization at large. The organization is beholden to increase stakeholder values, they're not committed to creating social change. So then I was like, oh my goodness, I had a really low moment in my life where I realized how deep the work of transformation is, and also that I don't have a clue what it requires, because this is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in what does the process look like where we really change our beings as individuals and as organizations. So instead of repeating the same pattern over history, we start transforming it. And so for the last 11 years, I've been on a big journey where I've studied what psychology can offer in terms of transformation, what embodiment practices can give me, what mindfulness can teach me, what applied theater, improv, theater of the oppressed can teach me, what trauma practices can teach me, what anti-racism can teach me, and anti-oppression can teach me, and facilitation, and what creative practices can teach me. So if you geek out about any of those, I'm ready to geek out with you. And as I was learning, just continuing to bring it into the spaces, I was either teaching or facilitating. It's just facilitating and doing improv with a bunch of amazing humans. And here is a quote. I think this sums up where I am at the moment. This is Adrienne Marie Brown, and you'll get to hear more from you. Actually, your next assignment has some of her writing in. She's like, I'm not in control of any choices or boundaries but my own. I cannot manipulate others into collective action, into choosing life. Not even with all my best words. I can only be vulnerable. I can only live into my own values, and I can only invite others to join me and to teach me. I feel like if I need to make this is very much the truth by which I live. This is the t-shirt I'll be wearing at this moment. I feel like that really describes where I'm at. I'm not in control, but I have agency. So she says you can be vulnerable. So part of my work is to be an artist who makes art. This is commenting on the circus industry that has great performance, but a lot of the performance is based on suffering, right? Animal cruelty practices and exploitation of labor. And this is a comment of so much of what is happening in our society. We perform perfection, but under it, there's so much hurt. And I also write. At this moment, I'm in halfway through. I had a personal loss in my life, and I'm not very good at grief. My society is not good at grief. So I've committed to writing for 40 days about grief, and now at day 24, and then publish it as a way to normalize that grief is present, and as a way to practice for me to stay in that grief instead of just like snapping out of it and, putting on my smile and grabbing a donut. So writing as a way of sharing my process and inviting others in is part of my practice. And then living into my values. I didn't write anything here, but I'm part of a community garden. I'm part of inquiring what is beyond capitalism, what is community saving, how I'm supporting people back home with my money. So just learning how to become the change I seek with my own life, and then inviting others. A lot of my work is just hosting spaces for other people's transformation. The video on the top there is me and a friend hosting a space. We called it Liberated Life is what we called it was in Pittsburgh, person, crossroads space where we practice liberation together. The bottom one is a part of a group that I'm part of, that we, at least last year, we hosted bi-month, every 2 months we would host gatherings so that people who are hungry and change ready have spaces to learn and practice new ways of being. And this is just an example of, it's one of the spaces I'm hosting at the moment, which is a space for white funders, people who work in philanthropy, who want to shift themselves and their practices. And so every month we hold the space for them, me and a friend, and we hold this, and these are some of the topics that we work through, which you can see is very much race-based and US-based, but a space for people who want to change. We invite people in so that they can come and have conversation and practice new ways of being. Yeah, and so I bring stuff, these are some of the things I bring in, well, you can see that I'm not the greatest person at technical stuff, but I geek out about oppression and liberation. I geek out about the process of recreating our own lives, multiple careers. I know about making space. I love the creative process and want to play with you. I'm very keen on personal and relational practices. And then reconnecting, how do we reconnect to the earth and to ancestors and to spirit and to self and to our joy and our creativity and the things we've left behind when we were starting to try to be good students or good people. So those are the things I bring. And yay. So
I wonder if there's comments or questions before, maybe we stretch before we talk about the course.
yeah.
But that was a bunch of stuff.
Do we how are people? Do you want to go on to the course? Should we take a stretch break? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, do we just take a 5-minute break, or do we just literally stretch in the space?
No, I thought you were the boss.
Well, let's stretch.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna,
I invite you to get up. It's good for our buttocks to get up. And I invite you to twist so you can actually feel your spine move a little.
oh,
And I do invite you to shake it out. Shake it up for a little. Yeah, good. I love seeing all these stretches happen.
sure. Oh, I was remembering there used to be these things, these clickers, and we didn't bring ours.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Oh, great. The thing is missing.
Isn't it in there already? There isn't.
Oh, it's over here. Yeah. Yep. I wonder if it works from there. Let's find out. It does work.
It's so strange with the screen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Should we check if we're in the right Wi-Fi? Because I suppose if this
MFA DSI.
in the right, in the same Wi-Fi, they should be. Let's try.
Yeah, let's see if that's one.
Yeah, there is Wi-Fi.
Text
Okay.
and check.
Hannah and Mark, I also want to tell you that if I look like touch my phone, it's that I'm doing using the Google dictionary
Yeah,
to clarify the definition of some words that I don't know.
yeah, thank
I will
you.
do the next sentence.
Of course.
Same.
Yeah,
And I want you to read the book.
yeah. Yeah. And when we are in Zoom, you know, a lot of our classes will be on Zoom. Does it help when we run the auto subtitles? Those are, I have a tool. It's like Google Translate, but it's made for the app. And sometimes when they were, my perception is that this cohort, people are further in English learning than some of the past cohorts. So I would sometimes, if I type something in the chat, I would grab it, throw it into that translator, and then paste that in the chat. It's often not very good, you know. So we have ways we can try. Let us know if things are a challenge. I said things are a challenge.
That's strange when I need to drink. How do I drink? Okay.
Okay, are we back? I see some Zoom cameras turned off. You don't have to turn your camera on, but I don't want to start without you if I don't have to.
Cool.
Right. I'll try not to be distracted by that transcript. It's funny what it decides I said. This can be conversational. I guess I should stand here so I can listen. Hi. This can be conversational. This kind of a lot, but let's take it a step at a time. And here we go. What's this course actually about? Or kind of there's some themes. This is not really the structure of the class, but it's called Foundations of Design for Social Innovation, or Fundamentals. I'll say for me, I'm a little uncomfortable with the term design for social innovation. Innovation gives me some trouble. Is it that we want new things? Innovation has this kind of commercial baggage. We're going to fix it with our things that we make. You know, like, I don't think that's how it happens. Design, we'll talk some in the course about design's power, and then things that maybe it's not so potent for, that still are part of the work of transformation and change. So there are themes like, we're going to start right away with learning something about complexity. A lot of, when it's made of people and their relationships and stories and beliefs, it's not a problem you can fix. It's more about pattern shifting. It's more about gardening the conditions that gave rise to the negative patterns. I don't know if we need to talk about every one of these, sort of chip in, Hannah, as we go. But that this complexity is made of our language, our conversations, the the thoughts that we have in our, that sort of run, even sometimes without our control, happen in our brain, come from the relationships and conversations we've been in. That's amazing. And as you already started to tell the story of, we have a history of oppression and the intergenerational trauma woven into our systems. Is present in every room where we gather. That's part of the foundation we need to talk about if we're going to become able to create in the midst of all that. So we'll look at the nature of change. People have been looking at this for a long time. We'll learn a little bit about it. Individual change and group and system change are all tangled. We'll talk about that. We'll talk quite a bit about emergence and process. Stop me and ask questions, or I'm just going to keep going. I don't want to go spend too long on this. And then the last set of themes is, if that's how complex it is, how do we work? What's it look like to try or to keep going? Would you add anything, Hannah, to this? Okay.
I will add something.
Yes.
It's not just how we work, but who we are.
Yeah, thank you.
Because how we work comes from who we are. So if we bring in the old paradigm into trying to create a new paradigm, we recreate the old paradigm. So it's, how do we show up? How do we notice in our bodies when we want to punch someone, but we smile instead? You know, how do we do that? What do we do when trust is broken in our group or in the community that we work with? Like, those kind of questions really, really matters to me. That how we are together is a practice towards the world we want to create together.
Yeah, thank you. Adrian's quote: "I can't control anyone but myself." We can't implement social change. So the syllabus, have you all made it into Canvas? I think so. And so there's kind of the SVA official syllabus form, and then we put a PDF version. And these slides are mostly just page grabs from the PDF version. So some stating the obvious, but just so we've said it, we're going to meet 3 times in person, and those will be long workshops. Like the next 2 are 7 hours, you know, those are full day workshops. And then in between, we have these 2.5-hour Zoom sessions. How do we always have the challenge of how do we get a sense of, I think we're good, Christian. Thanks for checking in. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're still recording too. I think we are. Yes, I see. Sorry. I think stop share. I think we're recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so the exchange between, like, we'll talk about grading in a second, but we need some back and forth between us so that we can get a sense of what sense you're making of the material and how things are tying together for you and where it's confusing. So we're using these reflection papers. There's just 3 of them. After sort of the rhythm is we have 4 sessions and then you make a reflection paper. They're not academic papers. We're like research papers. It's you saying like, well, these topics, this happened to me, you know, and I had this realization and this is confusing. But then this reading helped you sort of like go through the readings and topics and chew on them onto the page. Yeah. I think that depending on your history of schooling, this may be unfamiliar to some of you, making this. So we'll try to be clear in our assignment and maybe show some examples of good ones, but that's a thing. And then there's these field assignments. So some of them are pretty short. They just ask you to go do one thing with one other person and include your thoughts on that in your reflection paper. And then there's a series of them, we'll talk about it in a second, that build to a hosting and facilitation project. And then, yeah, everything's going to be in Canvas. We'll talk about that in a second too. But, so is this picture more or less clear? This is kind of summary. Yeah.
Also, for the Zooms, it'll be fun if you can be together, even if we Zoom in, so that you can do activities together.
Oh, that's fun.
So we'll need to work with it. We'll need to think about it a little bit more, but for some of the sessions, we need to be together, maybe every second one. So on some Fridays, you can just stay home, but other Fridays, you come in and you can do things together.
Oh, let's play with that. Yeah, yeah. And then we don't need to go through every one of these. I want to let you know that in the syllabus, there's this kind of thing for every week. So we pretty much stick to this. Sometimes things show up as something going on in the class or a question or a theme, and we have room to dance with that by making adjustments. But this, and then this is the second half of the class, are what we have planned. And what should we
No, I just want to
do with this?
point out that mixtape means you're going to get audio tape that you can listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And then during class, we're going to discuss what you listened and what you did. So the discussion is much richer if you do this beforehand. And this is nice, you can listen on the train. And then, so this is what we'll do during class. It's how we work together and it's how we are together and both hold hands in creating a new world. So there is a track specifically focused on work. Thanks for doing that, Mark. Which will end in the final presentation where you will have a project where you have hosted a session with another group of people. So we are giving you the on-ramp to start building your facilitation skills, right? So that's the work track. It will end in you facilitating something, and we'll help you step by step. And then there's the culture track, where what we talked about yesterday, what is the culture you want to create? You can aspire to that, but you also need to practice to that. So we're going to practice speaking honestly. We're going to practice giving an apology. We're going to practice feeling our feelings. And so that will be, this is the culture track that will hold hands with the work track. And they will become increasingly clear that those are like two dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah. Listening is both a personal skill and it's a key tool for hosting and facilitation. And then you go like, well, what's it like to listen together? Well, now we're into group scale listening, but we need to have done the basic listening first. So it builds. Thanks for that, Hannah. Any questions? And feel free, you can put questions in chat too, if you have them out there in Zoom land.
Are you gonna get to the slide about social media?
Yes, I am. There's so many slides. Okay. Right. So this is the point that Hannah made. I don't think any of you were, I don't know if you have any experience with cassette tapes, but there used to be this thing. It was a thing. You made mixtapes for your friends. You made mixtapes for the person you were dating. You made, so, and then well, if you know Guardians of the Galaxy, you know mixtapes. So these are pieces of lecture, conversations, bits of interviews, this kind of curated collection that lead into the sort of feed the topic in the discussion. And then there will be some, usually there'll be some things to read or watch on video. We try to curate this, like we try to respect your time. So we're not, some teachers just give you like, you need to read this whole book. We're going to take it 3 chapters at a time. We tend not to do that. We tend to say, we found these 2 chapters. Here they are. You know, we try to filter for you. So we ask you to take it seriously too. Yeah, we ask you to say like, oh, somebody chose this because they believed it was important. So even though it's some time, I think that's all there is to say about that. And I never know, you know, like we haven't talked about how long it's been since you were a student and what sort of habits you formed in your history of being a student, of note-taking while you read, of reflecting, sort of trying to stitch things together. That could take some time. But you'll hear me fairly often encouraging you to take notes during lecture, take notes while you read, find your system. Is it scribbling in a notebook? I do a lot of writing on sticky notes and jamming them into the thing I'm reading, and then getting that out later and, you know, doing some synthesis. So whatever your style is, you may have a digital tool you use, but it's going to help you so much. When it comes to the reflection paper, you have 4 sessions of reading and activity and so on. Going back to your notes will help you so much. We'll share recordings of Zoom sessions. We'll share all the slides. We'll give you all that stuff, but that can get to be a lot to go through. So take notes. Not a lot to say about this, except as you've already experienced, we mix activities and lecture and all sorts of stuff is going to happen. So, but we do ask that if you can't make it, let us know. It helps us to know that. We do move around when we're in person, so you probably don't want your high heels. Any other advice? No.
No, I'm feeling hungry.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like,
oh, it's 12:20. Gosh. Okay, yeah. I just noticed that. Hannah already pretty much talked about this time expectation. So I think your total expectation for time is something like 5 or 6 hours a week outside of class, which is for a grad course, maybe average-ish, you know, it's not hugely demanding, but it's something, you know, you're going to need to schedule a little bit. And this, Hannah already mentioned, we'll talk about this. You don't have to really think about it at all right now, but about session 3 or 4, we'll introduce it. We'll share these slides. We'll go through this pretty fast because, as you point out, times are ticking. And we'll be clear in our assignment about this. So here's a question. I don't know how you use social media, but we're wondering, we've tried a bunch of different ways, and most of them not very successful, using special little tools and groups and things. But we're thinking if you already use Instagram, already use Twitter, maybe sort of like, we'll let this be a community decision. It's not coming from your professors, but our question is, what if we had a share one thing practice where you're like, each week, there's some hashtag we use or some account we use, and it's just like, this really was cool this week, or this struck me, or I started thinking about this question, just one little blurb or shot or image or something. We don't have to decide it now, but
let's decide it when we come back.
yeah.
Because that's part of the, I was reading the group that I was part of last night, it was talking about how us making change more visible makes it more accessible to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So us practice using our voice to saying, hey, this is cool, to share our excitement and our love. We can share our criticism, and that's not always helpful, but to share the things that is not in the common consciousness that is actually cool.
Yeah.
It's part of actually furthering the field of change.
Yeah.
So that's part of it is, but does it excite you? Because I think at some point it felt like performance. It felt like, I need to perform to meet my professors to get a grade, and that's not the mindset that we want to uphold in this class.
No.
It's like an invitation to share your excitement in the world. So maybe we can talk about that when we're back in person.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, grading. Like you, we wish there weren't grades. But that's how this system is. So we finally kind of writing down what actually happens when Hannah and I sit down to give grades, which is, why shouldn't they get an A? It seems like they should get an A, and sometimes there's reasons. You didn't turn something in. Everybody else did. That seems like there's some kind of like, that's a reason.
Or you get an A because you didn't send something in, but you communicated with us saying, hey, this thing happened and I can't send it in. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're not going to penalize you because this is life happened.
Or maybe we have a conversation with you and realize that you did actually engage with the material. That's kind of our question. Like, really, for me, the bar is, did you engage with this material with openness? So willing to be changed by what you encounter through what you hear and what happens through these activities.
And if you weren't able to engage, then to communicate that with us,
Yeah.
saying, this is just too hard for me. And then you're like, cool.
Yeah. So, oh yeah. Oh, thank you. It's good. There's more eyes. I find it a little hard to hear Hannah from further away.
I'll go closer.
Yeah. Yeah, say that thing you said again.
What did I say?
Here's the mic.
What did I say?
You said the thing about engaging with the material.
Yeah, engagement doesn't look like doing all the things necessarily.
Can you hear her now? Come right here. This is the mic.
Like, sometimes what we ask you can be hard to do, and we don't expect you to force yourself with everything. If something that you really find what we ask you to do really hard, we can have a conversation. Because if we are allowing transformation doesn't come by forcing or coercing any change. It comes by us living into it. So we want to support you living into your learning edge, not expect you to comply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, again, I think given the time, I encourage you to read the syllabus. Most of these things I've already seen you all demonstrate during Jumpstart. I'm actually not too worried about the culture of this class, but we'll get after you about taking care of yourself and each other.
Yeah.
And we like it when you contact us. And we're happy to arrange a conversation on Zoom. Don't hold back. And we'll say something before about this will be a practice week of you receiving assignments from us on Canvas to find out, is what we're doing clear for you? You know what you need to do. Can you keep track of it?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I think that's it, huh?
I think so.